Here's my review for episode 5, Girl in the Flower Dress. In this episode, a street performer in Hong Kong is captured by a mysterious woman wearing a flower dress who is interested in this ability that he has where he can make fire appear, and she wants to basically enhance his power, and she ends up giving him a name, the Scorcher, which is a character in the comics that I'm not too familiar with. But this attracts the attention of Coulson and his team, who are sent to investigate. You know, does Coulson's team ever get a break? Aren't there other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents out there? Well, luckily there is a Hong Kong division of S.H.I.E.L.D. that is waiting for Coulson's arrival. Now, I forget to address this at the beginning of every episode, but for this and all the other Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reviews, spoiler alert. This, in my opinion so far, is the best episode so far. I think this is the one where they found their niche. Someone's trying to get me on Facebook. Screw you. They introduce another character from the comics. Not very well known, but unfortunately they kill him. I said spoiler alert. But that's not the important part. The important part is we get some more questions answered. Mainly on S.H.I.E.L.D. Yes, I hear you on Facebook. Stop it. Now, S.H.I.E.L.D. is a... let's just say throughout the series she's an interesting character. A lot of people seem to hate her because, oh, she cracks too many jokes, and she's too much like Kat Dennings' character in the Thor movies, where I say she does crack a few too many jokes, and by episode 3 I admittedly got tired of it, but she's very useful. She has a lot of good insight, and she reminds me of Buffy in a way. I'm not putting her to Buffy's standards, but she does remind me of Buffy Summers in a way. But aside from what other viewers think of S.H.I.E.L.D., the series also brought up things like, who is she? Where did she come from? What's her alliance? Because we saw in the end of episode 2, she got a text from the Rising Tide saying she's in, so we're under the assumption she's just infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. to give the Rising Tide info, which through the other episodes it was hard to tell since she was getting along so well with the others. Here we finally get to see why she's part of the Rising Tide and why she's so fixed on S.H.I.E.L.D. She's actually there because she needs to find out info on her parents. It digs up a part of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s past that we didn't know about, and only S.H.I.E.L.D. has info on the parents, but the only document that she could hack in and find was very similar to this, where just a lot is... where basically the whole file is crossed out. And in the end, I thought it was emotionally powerful, and I'll admit this. In the rest of the series, I didn't really feel any emotion. I enjoyed the episodes, but never really felt any emotion. At the end of this episode, when we finally get to discover the truth about Sky, I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? What's this weird feeling? Is this an am I feeling something? So, that is alone one of the best reasons why I feel that this episode is the best of the series so far. We still got a long way to go. This has a full season 1. I don't know if there's going to be season 2. I hope there is. And I feel like this is the episode where the show has finally found their niche. Good balance of humor without being too funny. It's more serious in tone. And maybe it'll finally get these nerds out there to shut the fuck up on this show being shitty, because this show is actually good. I think this episode is the point where they found their niche, and I hope they stick with it. The episode also goes back to the Centipede organization that we saw in the pilot that used the Extremis formula from Iron Man 3 for a bunch of super soldiers, and I admit this episode did have some very graphic moments, I thought, mainly with Scorcher. The female scientist who was in the pilot episode dies in the most horrific way, at least for a show like this, I've seen. Like, she burns, you see her burn to a crisp, and I'm like, Jesus Christ! And it's really kind of shocking, but for a non-HBO show, I give them points for that. And I feel that the Centipede Company is going to be the hook that ties in the rest of the season, similar to how the Master tied into Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 1. Now there is this other character who's introduced, this hacker of the Rising Tide who lives in Austin, who basically, I mean, people who had it hard to believe that Sky was a hacker. This guy, I feel, he's only in the Rising Tide just to bang Sky, because the whole time I was like, you are a dumbass. And he does get a decent payoff that's actually kind of humorous. Not a big fan of that character, but he gets a good payoff at the end. But I thought this episode was the best so far, and it's really good. The characters are starting to grow on me. They cut down on the humor, which I like. And for the first time in this series, I got the same feeling watching this episode as I do when I watch an episode of Buffy or Firefly. So, this series is heading in the right direction. Let's see what happens. Oh, wait a minute, another episode's not airing next week, so I guess the next episode will air 2 weeks from now, the same weekend Thor the Dark World comes out, so I'm excited to see what happens there. I doubt they're going to tie in that episode to Thor the Dark World, but we'll see. Leave a comment if you've seen the episode, subscribe to my channel for more reviews in the future. Check out my other channel, AlexG8462. Follow me on Twitter at AlexG8462. Like me on Facebook / The Cinemas with Mr. Robinson. Tell your friends about me. And remember, when it comes to movies and TV, know it before you see it. See you guys later.